you're gonna have to cancel ladybugs because you have to have a male bug. You know what I'm saying? You can't have ladybugs. You have to have a male bug. You have to cancel that very well.
You just swipe away the gender. That's all.
Yeah, that's it.
You know what I mean? No gender. Don't give it colors. Black and white, and you can kill it.
Yeah.
So anyway, now you listeners, you hear the craziness that is Michaela. Michaela, why don't you introduce yourself, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Michaela Dosa. I'm Haitian. Okay, I'm gonna represent. I'm from New York. I was born in New York. I'm the only one in my family that was born in New York. I have a finger that grew back. No lie, true story. And I am an actress. I'm a creative. I'm a creative because I like to create. I was on a Broadway show in 2019, and then I'm gone, thank God. So now I'm just awaiting work, with the pandemic and with everything going on. But in the midst of everything going on, I've been trying to just keep myself busy and creating content, whatever platform that is, for myself and for others to watch, whether it's funny or sad or whatever it is. And right now I've worked with Andrea. We did hits together, and that was one of the best experiences of my life because that was one of my first on-camera role, and it was so real, and it was so, I don't want to sound like an actor right now, but it was so authentic. It was so good. I was craving it all my life, and my thirst was quenched. So thank you so much, Andrea.
What was your first acting gig, whether it was theater, film, or whatever? What was your first acting gig?
I guess you say my first professional was this show called Pips Island. It was on 42nd Street and 9th Ave. And it was interesting and a humbling experience to see the industry, to be in the industry. But then it was also an interesting experience to see how people work when money becomes the number one and they neglect their actors and the work and the craft. It was hard, but it was a humbling experience, and it prepared me and gave me thick skin to know what's up ahead for this industry. I don't want to be. It was good. Like, oh my gosh, it was great. It was great to be able to perform for families and children, and just to be in that atmosphere. I think unfortunately the biggest takeaway for me is, as a Black actress, I have to fight harder for a lot of things. And thankfully now there are a lot of casting directors and companies that their eyes are open that you can't do this. You can't treat people a certain way. And so things are changing. It's not perfect, but slowly but surely things are changing. But what I took away from it was I got to work extra hard.
Pippin was on Broadway, right?
Yeah, Off Broadway. But I guess there were two. There was that, but then there was the humbling experience of performing and changing people's lives. Literally, like you think about it, you're like, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not changing your life, but to some degree you really are, to kids that were blind and they were deaf. When they went into that show, they were completely different, and they were in the show. And that was very humbling. So
tell us a little bit about that. How did that work for kids that had health ailments, like you said, the blind or hearing impaired? Tell us about how did they do that? How did that work?
So how the show was, it was very different. It was immersive. If you've ever been to New York, I don't know if you've ever been to the show called Sleep No More. It's, you get into like a building, and then throughout each and every, there are rooms, and each room is a scene, and the actors are playing out the story, but each room is a scene. So that's like what Pips Island was like. And Pips Island, when you entered the main room, they had all the kids together. They had all their teacher aides, and they had they had to hold each other's hands. Like, it was kind of like they had a rope, and they were holding onto the rope. Some of them were holding onto their other children's hands. Some of them were holding onto the teacher's hands. And as they're going through the show, usually, you just watch. You just watch, you're in the show. But these kids, we made it more inclusive to their ailment. If they couldn't see, we made it inclusive of what's around them. Like, we would make it more descriptive. Look at all these bubbles, and they're coming up, and they're so round and big. And look at Miss Grumbleplum. She's so big, and we're very descriptive about what it was. And then sometimes we would have them touch it. We would have them touch the characters and touch some of the props so they can feel it. And if they couldn't hear, we were more expressive. So when we did that, and when the children would come through, you would see the expression on their face and how happy they were, especially the kids that were blind. Like, kind of makes you want to cry because they were just so happy to feel and hear what it's like and to touch it and not feel like, oh, there's something wrong with me. I'm in this world with these characters. Like, I'm in this world. And it was like, wow, that was one of the things it was a humbling experience in the show. It was really cool.
And I'm a little, I guess, jealous because I don't know if Alex remembers, but I remember telling them about a script that I wrote. There was a place downtown Newark, and it was a art gallery. What is it called? A Pharaoh art gallery. And they had a whole other space next door that they were able to lease out. And I wanted to get it, and I wanted to do a show like that. Now, granted, I didn't necessarily target blind or hearing impaired, but what I wanted to make it was like a maze. And each room that you went through, you would see a scene of the play. And then I wanted to make it, and we would have been there at least like 6 months. And so we would have been able to make it like really invest money in it to make it like very aesthetically pleasing. And then
And immersive.
yeah, and give something to the eye. And I don't know, somewhere along the line when I would mention it to people, there's like, okay. But I really, of course, wanted to do it for kids. But they were used to me writing drama for adults, and that's what they wanted. And I'm listening to you and I'm saying I should have followed through.
You should have. You should have done it.
It's never too late, but I'm sure somebody probably had. Actually, there were a place like that where they would have like a house or something, and as you go through each room, you would see a different thing, or not necessarily a scene, but you see a different thing. So I don't know, maybe and that won't be hard to get investors to do that, especially if it's for kids or whatever. I may read.
Yep.
I should not have listened.
It's okay. Don't be upset. Like, don't be upset, Andrea. Like, this is, I don't know if you realize, this is what theater probably is going to be. People can't really sit in an audience next to each other watching something anymore. They're probably going to have to put them in groups and move around in the scene. I'm so serious.
I have to laugh to keep from crying. It's sad, but listen, I walked away from theater because, film, it just pays more money. And I also, I went to school for film first. I wanted to be a filmmaker. I go way back with doing film, but I found myself the other day saying, I miss theater. And I posted something too, because I was like, okay, I got to share. I can't keep this in. So how do you feel like, because I know you've done some theater, you've even done theater with me. We'll talk about that, playing Jane.
Yeah.
How do you feel now with COVID? And again, just so the audience knows, or just to remind them, what was my point? Oh my God, I'm getting old. Oh, okay. So I'm just saying is my podcast for entertainers to come and to vent, to share their experiences and so on. So that's why I want to get into, and we don't have to get too deep. If you feel yourself getting emotional, change the subject and I'll catch you.
No.
But, how has it been, not just coping with the whole COVID thing, but just dealing with the fact that it's like now like a barrier between you and theater?
I'll be honest with you. I'm not a theater lover. I'm a theater liker. So when theater, with everything that happened with theater, I wasn't so upset. If anything, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a sign. Like, we have to do film. Like, this film is going to skyrocket, So for me, I wasn't sad, but I wasn't happy because I know I have friends who are on Broadway that was making a living in New York, and they weren't getting paid for a whole year. And they had to leave. They had to go back home, wherever that was. Sometimes it was out of the country. They got work out of the country to work for people in New York City, and now you can't do that. So my heart really went out to those people. So and when COVID, and when things were coming back, but they were saying that theater and Broadway will come back when it was 2020, and they said it was coming back 2021. I was like, why? Like, why? To me, it didn't make any sense because there are, you brought back a lot of other things where, you have crowds of people. Why? But then it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it was like, then is it dead? So for me, it was more so I was thinking of for my friends, because I have friends who are theater lovers, who are theater goers. They will die for theater. And I was thinking of them like, this is their income. A lot of them don't feel comfortable on screen. They don't feel right doing film. They want to be, they feel alive in that atmosphere of a live audience, and that being taken away from them, I saw how they suffered. I saw some of them were really depressed for like 6 months, and and some of them, I don't know how they were making. Some of them, I don't know how they were making money. And they cut everyone's paycheck, and they weren't paying them, and then they were trying to create this bill to give to the actors who were in the union. That never really passed. So there was a lot of turmoil at seeing that,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking to myself, I don't know if theater's dead and what will happen when it comes back. I'm still thinking that. I feel more alive. Like I said, you quenched my thirst doing film. I feel alive when I do film. I just do.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Before we get into Hits, which is the series on human trafficking for the listeners, let's talk about Plain Jane.
Woo!
So I love
Plain Jane.
I really did love you on Plain Jane, and I'll get into that why in a minute. But let's put some more focus on you. How did you feel? Tell the audience about who Plain Jane was, right?
Okay. Yeah. So Plain Jane, like she was this 19-year-old girl who went to college, and when she went to college, she got into a lot of drugs. She got into the wrong crowd, and she wasn't responding or talking to her parents for like probably a whole semester, no, more than a semester, probably a whole year. They haven't heard from her.
They hadn't seen her, but they heard from her every now and again.
Yes. And context, she used to be a big girl, thick girl. And when she came back for the first time after, for a while, they hadn't seen her, she was very, 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 very skinny. She looked sick. She didn't look very good. There was a lot of shame and guilt, especially you felt with the character, and you saw that she had for the father, because I feel like her father was like her role model. And it was like, man, I let you down, and I don't know how to make it up to you. And I don't know, like that hit me. Like I was like, dang, like I really did. And I don't ever want to dishearten my parents. I want them to be proud of me. And so when I was playing that, it felt so real. It felt so real. And having her on those drugs, I'd never been on drugs before, but for some reason I felt like I was when I was playing that girl. Maybe because people say I'm always crazy, but you never know. But it's like there's a lot that goes in with that story that really breaks your heart, because it's a lot of grief and turmoil, and there's a bit of betrayal. There's betrayal. There's I feel like there's some kind of mental illness. Mm-hmm. She never knew how to validate herself. She had to go to drugs and people to feel validated, and it basically almost killed her. It seems like to me. So towards the end, we see that they meet up at the airport, and then they have this confrontation at the airport, and she basically towards the end like kind of makes up a promise to her father, to both parents, but mostly her father, like, I'm gonna make it up to you. Like I'm getting help. I'm gonna start all over, and I'm gonna stay here to go to school. My life is gonna turn around. You did not spend all this money on me for no reason. I'm going to turn out to be not only a functioning adult, but the best daughter adult I need to be in this life.
So now thinking about her father, Keith, and his woe and his sadness and his disappointment, if you noted, everybody that I had play that role, I always made sure that they had the most strenuous, disappointing look that seemed very weighty, like as if someone just set a couple of houses on their shoulder, looking into Keith's eyes and thinking about, how hard it hit him.
Man.
I always felt like he knows this is not the end. This is just the beginning. Because when you are on drugs and you're addicted, it's a journey. And not with your parents for 2 semesters, that's a year. That shows addiction, and then the weight. What'd she say? She lost 150 pounds or something?
Yeah, she was a big girl.
You know what I mean? So I always felt like it was just the beginning. Did you feel like your character, and this is for all of the novice actors who are, getting into acting, did you feel that your character means what she says for the moment? Or does she really realize her journey? Because I can tell you, Keith doesn't feel like the father. He feels like it's the beginning. At least behaves like, oh God, now we got to go down this road first, the weight. Now, her dealing with the low self esteem and the weight. Now we got to go down this journey with the drug thing. And he's not young, so he knows about drugs and everything.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
he believes what she's saying to him because she's pleading to him.
Right. I do because, like I said, I think her father, because both her parents were there, but you can tell there's a special relationship, especially the way he speaks about her before even when she enters the scene, he doesn't see her. The way he spoke about her from when she was a baby to growing up, you can tell there was a special relationship they had. And when you have that with a parent, they don't have to say much. When they give you that look, you just know, and it's like you just want to die. You want to die because it's like you don't know what to do, and you want to make them proud, but you screwed up. You really put yourself in a hole here. And I believed her when she was pleading and crying because she was like, I'm gonna, like when she was saying, I'm gonna fix this, and she was like, trying to explain to him why she did it, and he wasn't having it. It was like, you know what? There's nothing I can do for you to believe me. I think I just need to do it. That's why I love that line when she was like, I'm gonna move back here. I'm gonna get help, and I'm gonna. What else? There was a line she said she was gonna. I don't remember the line. She said that she was gonna get help and she's gonna move back home. And there was something else that she said she was gonna do just to prove to him, I'm gonna change for you. And she said,
make it better.
Yes.
Better, you'll see.
Yes. It was that one. And she said, I'm not going to break your heart again, Daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to break your heart again. And I think you could tell that ate her. Like she just wanted to turn into a ball and just disappear because she did that.
But does she believe that she will have sobriety?
Me personally, I think she's like, all right, this is a moment thing right now. And if I just continue on in this path, I think I'll get better. I don't think she's really thinking long term, like I'm going to get better. It's like, this is one step at a time kind of thing. Like when you're an addict, you don't really want to admit you're an addict. So it has to be like a one day at a time. Like, all right, today I took the pills. Okay, I'm good. And then you wake up tomorrow. Okay, I need to go to therapy. So I think for her, when I was playing her, I think it was a moment. Like I'm convinced right now I'm gonna get better. I don't know about later on, but right now I'm convinced I'm gonna get better.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I thought you were gonna go all the way one way or the other. Like, nope. I think or either yep. I think she feels she's gonna get better. But that's a really fair assessment because you can't see beyond.
Yeah. I don't think, because she was so much in drugs and in denial prior, that still plays a part of her character. So I don't think she's going to be like, hey, I'm going to be completely better. No, it's like, I'm going to take one day at a time and I'm here right now. So I'm better today. Mm-hmm. We're good. That's all that matters, right? And some people are like, no, you got to keep doing it every day. But for her, it's like, I'm better today and I'm going to keep going.
Let's talk about Kayla. And I almost didn't name your character Kayla for hits because I was like, it's too close. And Alex was like, no, it's not. I'm like, yes. I said, her name is Michaela. She said, no, it's not.
Yeah, it's Mikael.
I know. And I was like, oh, okay. And I knew it, but my brain just kept grabbing, whatever. God's working on it.
You call me Michaela. It doesn't matter. I was like, she called me that. Only Andrea can do that.
Yeah, so, but, so let's talk about her. You did your first teaser, I think that was in 2017.
Yeah.
We were doing the teaser to kind of put out and, spread around to different networks and streaming platforms while we were, right before we were getting ready to film the pilot. You had an experience. That was, so for those who don't know, I'm filming both a series and a documentary on human trafficking. But back in 2017, we began filming the teaser just to kind of draw some attention to the trafficking series that we're working on. And I'm still pitching it. Thank God I'm in front of the right people right now. And, they give some tips on what they want, do this and then come back, you do it and come back, things change, you got to do something else. But it's okay because I'm in front of some really good people now and I have an agent. So, we'll see what happens. But yeah. It's just a matter of finding a good fit because it's not that we weren't in front of the right people and they were interested. It's just that they don't have those kind of things.
No.
And you can't water down human trafficking. You just, the
And
only
it's not Black people doing it too.
Yeah, and the only way to water down human trafficking is to not do it.
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
can't, it can't be about it. It's literally black or white.
Yeah.
But in any case, you played Kayla, who is in captivity of the human traffickers, and we don't get much. We just
No.
get you down in the basement. So you're tied in, and you're not gagged at one point. You're just tied up. You're in a dark place or whatever. What in the world is going through your mind as you sit there?
Me as Kayla or me as a person, me as Mikhail?
Of course, Kayla. As
Okay.
an actor. And let me just let everybody know she's method. So
Okay.
this is the reason why this is very interesting. Because method, you get a chance to really dissect, what you did. Okay, so that's a good thing. Let's start there. How did you get ready to play this role of Kayla tied up in a basement, captured, knowing she's in transit to wherever the heck they're stealing her to take her to?
I know this is gonna sound weird, but I just imagine it in my mind and my body follows through and it just translates like this is real. Like I have to trick my mind. This is real in the moment. Like it's kind of crazy and it's like, oh, this is not okay. She needs help. But no, my mind is like, this is real. Like we're not acting right now. This is real. So then the adrenaline and whatever I have, my ability to do it happens. So for me, it was like I didn't really I did a lot of research on what human trafficking was and what happens. But for me, like the space itself and when you tied up my hands and where we were, like it felt so real to me. It was like at that moment we weren't, for me at least, I wasn't acting anymore. Until you said cut, I was like, okay, back. But for me, it was like I'm about to I'm probably gonna die or about to rape me, and I can't do anything. I'm looking at the floor. By the way, where we were was. People need to understand we were in this basement where the floor was.
Yeah.
It was dirty. It was nasty, girl. It was bugs. It was a spider.
Yeah. It was lots of spiders. It was dark and dismal. We went to a part of the basement where I think that they either stored things but I know they film a lot down there. And so and so they knew that the place was prepared for us to come in and prepare, probably meaning just going to the darkest, most unused part of the basement. Listen, I had to put myself through therapy to go downstairs. If my family only knew, because there were lots of spiders. And
yes.
Yeah, like everywhere, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" But so tell us, continue to tell us. Well, okay, so you said you prepared by saying like, "Okay, this is really happening to me." That's method, right?
Yeah, like that's how I work. Like this is happening, but when I'm in the space, it could be one thing. It could be even a prop. The moment I see it or I feel it, I'm there. And so for me, it was literally just being there, just being in that basement alone was like, I'm kidnapped. And when y'all tied me up and I was against that wall on that floor with all those bugs and it was just dark. I just felt like I felt like I needed to grasp for air and I couldn't. And so for me, that's how I've always acted. That I'm just there. My brain is like, this is happening. And I've heard some people say that means you're a psycho. And I said, well, it works for me. So
I don't think it's psycho. I think it's what a lot of method actors do. They put themselves through it, to bring it. And I don't even think that was a bad putting myself through it scenario. You know what I mean? So what I want to do is I want to show everybody. Hold on.
What's going on here? trafficking? This is not on your side. It's not about my side. This is bigger than a turf thing. The only thing we can do, what we need to do, is stop the whole thing from happening. That could have been my daughter. Okay? When I find this guy, I'm gonna put a bullet in his fucking head.
Scary, right?
I'm remembering that day. Yeah.
And first of all, you were so young, and you see it all in your face. But what goes through your mind looking at that?
It's a lot of emotion. If I didn't know that wasn't me and I was watching this, I'd be like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. I just a lot of emotion that's happening right now. Like a lot of fear, and a lot of pain for her.
Did you say to yourself when you were doing that role, did you say, okay, I'm kidnapped and I'm about to be trafficked? Like, did you say those words like trafficked?
I didn't say that to myself. It just happened. If that makes sense. I don't say it to myself. It's just, I'm already there. And then when the guy kept coming downstairs and, he was a very sweet man in real life, but when we were doing it, he had that angry face and he was built like that. So when he would open up the curtain, I just go into a mode. I can't explain it. It just opens up, and then it's like nothing's real until you say cut. Like until you say cut, it's all real to me. That's what I meant. Nothing's fake until you say cut. It's all real to me, and my emotions just take over, and that's what happens for me. I can't say it to myself. I'm being trafficked because part of my brain is like, as the character, I don't know what's going on. I just know I'm tied up, and nobody can hear me. I'm going to die, or he's going to rape me. So that's what me as the character is thinking, because I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. And it makes sense. I guess, for me as a director, I'm definitely not an actor at all. And I do some coaching for new actors because I've been around enough acting coaches to know the beginning parts or whatever. So I don't think like that. I think what I see. And I know that there's trafficking going on. And so that's why, and when I see that, it just matches, you know what I mean? The reality to what we know it's about. But that makes sense. That you're just in the moment thinking, as the person would have been thinking,
what's going to happen to me?
Yeah. We skipped over a lot. Let's backtrack a little bit. Where'd you go to acting school?
Oh, I went to Circle in the Square theater school. So a lot of people don't know Circle in the Square because they just know the theater. It's a theater where they play Broadway shows, but it's the only theater in the country that's also a school. So you go and watch a show, but underneath the building, there's a school. It's a 2-year program where it's basically like a vocational school. You live, breathe, and eat acting. And you're there from 8 a.m. And some days you leave at 11 p.m. So.
Did you learn method there?
No, I didn't. Like I said, they didn't teach us method. They taught you to know how to be truthful to yourself, how to be real to the circumstances and what's real to you. And so when I went to the school, my brain was already wired like that. So for me, it was like, I got to skip certain courses and just do certain things because my brain was already like, they were like, be truthful to yourself. You can't be the best actor if you don't know how to be real to yourself. And me being one of the only Black people in the course, they were like, she's so real. She just speaks her mind. Like, that's how she is. Like, this is how I am. It's like, I just got to be real to myself. And as a person, if you're real to yourself, it translates in your acting. So that's just, so yeah, they didn't really teach you method. They didn't teach you Meisner. They just taught you be real to yourself, be authentic. And that truth will resonate on film or on stage.
I believe that. That's why when I direct, I always say be.
Yeah. Yeah.
I tell actors like, no, don't. Now you are performing, and
Yeah.
everyone will know it, even the people watching it. Don't act because that's just a step up from performing. You know, they may get a
Yeah.
little engaged, but they remember it's not real.
Yeah.
If you be, they'll get so caught up in that moment that they forget where they are.
Yeah.
Be, you can't go wrong.
That's what one of my favorite teachers in school. His name's Alan Langdon. I love him. He said, "There's no right, there's no wrong, there's only truth." I said, "That's true."
Mm. So when did you pick up method? I'm sorry, I'm a method head.
I know it's hard for me because it's like I think as a child, I think because the way I was brought up, like I was brought up in a home where my mother was very overprotective and I was the only girl. And so I couldn't go outside and play with the other kids growing up because she's been through a lot in life. So because I was home all the time, I had to be in my imaginary state all the time. So and my dad was always working. So I didn't really have anyone to play with me because my brother was outside, my mom was making food, and my dad was at work. So I played with myself. I would go, that sounds so wrong. I would, imagine with myself, and I just go places where my brain was like, I'm not limited here. I can go wherever I want here. And not realizing as I got older, that's what would give me the ability to act. It was just that's how life was for me. This is how I could cope with life. Just going in here, no one could tell me what to do in here. No one could control me here. No one could tell me rules here. No one can say I can go outside here. I could do whatever I want in here. So I think that's when the method came out because everything in here was so real. Because everything outside, I didn't like it. I was upset that I was controlled and I couldn't play with the boys. I couldn't do this. I couldn't play. There's so much I couldn't do because I love my mom. It's just, she's just so overprotective, a lot of things. And we weren't rich. So, so I didn't have the access to go places and go on trips and family and family fun daycare or whatever. Just those places that, families go and do. I didn't have that opportunity. So my brain was that. My brain was the water park. My brain was the forest. My brain was we were on Titanic someday. And the next moment we were on the top of a mountain. Next moment we were talking to Morgan Freeman and we were having some tea. Like we were having a good time.
So now they're getting a taste of why I call you crazy girl. So basically you had a really vivid imagination.
Yeah.
And see, a lot of times when single children, sometimes if it's just like a couple of children or the youngest child, or sometimes the oldest child, the middle child, sometimes because they feel left out, they often, or if there's a bunch of kids, sometimes you may have more than one, they find ways to cope, especially when you have a parent that is, caring and wants to make sure that you're safe and okay and, keeps you from the streets. You don't quite understand it because for you, kids are out there playing, what's the problem? But they know what they're doing. And so they keep playing and you find a way to cope or whatever. Trust me, I've been there. My fingers were friends. They talked to one another. They played games, Everything is a toy, a piece of straw paper on the floor.
Yeah, you understand? You're the super brain, yeah.
It can be a rag doll. I love lemons as a kid, and my mother would always put like 1 or 2 little halves of lemon she'd pour lemonade or Kool-Aid, and she would put the lemon in there, and I would take 2 out, and after I, sucked all the juice out, I make them talk to one another.
Oh, I like that.
Please, I've done everything. And not that I didn't have dolls, but you got tired of them after a while, She was
Andrea, that was the other thing about me. I did not like dolls. I hated dolls. For me, it was like, what am I gonna do with this? Like, I can't do anything with this. And I was such a tomboy. I liked trucks. I liked I liked the hammer sets. I liked slime and ooze. I liked anything that was boy. I just did. And because I couldn't get that because I was a girl, my mom would get me a doll. I would just cut her hair. I was like, we're gonna cut her hair because that's the fun thing to do. Let's see her bald. Let's see how she looks bald. And that was fun to me. Oh well.
You know what?
My sister and I did the same thing. We were not doll people at all.
That's Alex, by the way, everybody. That's our tech person. She chimes in. She comes to life from time to time. Anywho, thank you so much, Ms Micky, for coming on and interviewing with us. We really appreciate you taking the time out. We will see you again on the show, of course, as you are one of our co-hosts, and we're looking forward to all of your craziness and wisdom tree. I don't know, you get it.